Hi, I'm Neal Harm, Deputy Secretary General for FCI, and I am here today speaking with Mr. Peter Mulroy, Secretary General, and Ms. Daniela Bonzanini, the Chairwoman from FCI. And I'd like to answer or ask a couple of questions of Peter and Daniela as well. Peter, how has FCI supported the tremendous growth of factoring since you took the role of Secretary General in 2013?
Thank you, Neal. Well, Daniela will remember from the Executive Committee, they had asked me to prepare a 5-year strategic plan, and there were probably about 8 or 10 points within that plan. And so I can just walk you through maybe some of those points, which I think helped with the development of factoring, certainly the development of FCI. One, of course, was the membership itself. So how do we grow the membership, and how do we shift and change the trajectory of the membership? I inherited an organization from a man who had been the Secretary General for over 40 years. So, Mr. Jerome Concham, and he did an incredible job, developing the infrastructure, laying the groundwork. But yeah, there were some aspects of the organization that needed changing, going into the 21st century. And one of them was certainly the membership. We wanted to expand the type of members that we can bring in. So we not just allowed banks and non-banks, but also what we call sponsor members, third-party providers, support institutions. So that was one of the things that we did. The other is we were really an organization very much reliant on the members. Yet we had really no relationships with development banks, intergovernment organizations, and the like. And we're a small organization. We're only, at the time, I think we were 7 or 8 staff, Daniela, I think back in those days. And so I knew right away there's no way that one person or 2 persons can go and represent this organization globally. So that's when we as an organization decided to outreach and start building relationships with the development banks, with the UN, with the WTO, with all these intergovernmental organizations. And they needed us equally. It was a win-win relationship, and we've had some successes, real successes. We've had some, let's say, disappointments, where I think you taking over maybe those other organizations that we haven't been able to, let's say, replicate that success with. I think that's something that you can do. The other is, the merger with IFG. So that was on my plan, on the strategic plan. Not necessarily with that organization, but with a like-minded organization that could help us enhance our strength and voice as being the voice for the factoring and receivables finance industry. And I used to quip and joke by saying that FCI was the voice of invoice finance. Yeah. So, and I think we ended up, of course, merging with IFG, the International Factors Group. They were a smaller organization of ours, but they were older. They had actually started 4 years before us, and truth be told, they were a very different organization. And I think they brought the better new elements into FCI and helped us change the trajectory of the organization. Yes, also, we're 50% of our industry is reliant on credit insurance, yet we had no dialogue with the credit insurance bodies, the insurers themselves. So this was another big initiative, was to establish this kind of partnership with the credit insurers through this joint working group. And then, of course, what you heard today was the legal and regulatory. This has been a long road. And the model law in factoring to me is the crowning achievement, because it is a model law in factoring. And there are many model laws on so many different types of products, types of financial instruments, yet we didn't have our own. So, and then of course with the World Bank IFC, development of their regulatory guide for central banks, and then our own legal study. So yeah, I couldn't be more pleased. And then the last is decentralization. We were a very centralized organization. Of course, now we're all over the world with multiple regions. So I would say that.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
Well, Daniela, as chairman and working with Peter for the past 10 plus years, what have your highlights been through those years with Peter, both in FCI and also just as a factoring product?
Yes. Well, Peter replaced Jerome Constant exactly 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and at that time I was elected as chairman. So in a way, we started
together
our road in FCI.Together. And as Peter has already mentioned, at that time FCI was totally different. It was more a closed organization, and he already mentioned the differences we have comparing the FCI of today in respect of membership, in respect of relation with other organizations, regional development banks. But also what is very important to me is education, because at that time our courses were strictly reserved to our members. So non-members were not allowed to have any kind of education through FCI. And this is something we managed to change, to offer our educational services to non-members. And also to individual, because I think that, well, first of all, education is important, but offering our services to non-members, it was a way also to attract their interest and to make them taking the decision of becoming a member. So a big change, and I must say that yes, also after the merging, the quality of our education has considerably increased and was highly appreciated by the industry. So we work together to make FCI becoming the center of the reference of the industry. And business-wise, operational-wise, the business has continued to increase in terms of turnover, but there was also requests for different products. So we have started analyzing the possibility to develop a new product, a new business. So over the years we made some attempts, some were successful, some not. But I think that we tried to equip our members with a range of products they could offer to their clients. Well, the last example is supply chain finance, which is extremely important nowadays. And we have tried also to develop a solution at edifactoring level, so making members using our platform to carry out their daily business. So I think that factoring in essence has remained the same, but we had to develop more solution for international business, but at the same time we also helped new members to develop their domestic business in the country, in the market.
That's very good, very good.
Yeah. Neal, maybe you can give us a little bit of your background, in a sense, what attracted FCI to you and vice versa, and maybe a little vision of what you have in store for this organization.
Yeah, definitely. It's been 30 years, almost to the day. I started for a bank in the United States, and I processed invoices. It was an invoice finance group, and I literally was in operations processing invoices. Over the 30 years, I've grown from operational roles to finance roles, all the way to running factoring businesses in the United States. So it's been an amazing 30 years to think back to when I originally touched an invoice so that we could finance that invoice for a client, to today where I have an opportunity to lead the industry in that same business globally, not just in the United States. 20 years ago is when I had the opportunity to go to my first FCI meeting. That was in Berlin. I had the opportunity to meet both of you and others at those events, and that's when it got in my blood. The international got in my blood, and I just really enjoyed the interactions, the cultures, and the fact that me 30 years ago sitting in a small office in North Carolina, there were thousands of people like me all across the world doing the same thing. I had no idea. So I got that bug 20 years ago to be part of international, and to be able to run something and see it and grow really attracted me. And so when Daniela and you reached out, it was an easy decision. Very easy decision.
Very good.
Excellent.
In terms of the future, this is a product that is used by every company, whether they know they need it or not. Every company does open account, and you think about the amount of business that's done around the world in open account. and the need for that working capital, we're the experts in that space. And so I want to see the percentage of us helping those corporations around the world grow. I think we have such an opportunity to grow this business of factoring because open account is the driver for working capital, and we should be supporting that for our clients and for the banks of those clients as well.
Great.
So, as I step into this role, Peter, especially as I start in full later in 2024, and you've moved on and retired, do you have any tips for me as I take on this amazing opportunity?
I certainly do. Daniela will agree with my first tip, and it starts with the letter D for diplomacy. It's one of the bigger challenges to work with so many cultures, so many different egos, so many different temperaments, and it's an art. Meaning you have to really. It's a dangerous terrain. Yeah. So you have to be, in a sense, prepared, and you have to be careful. The one wrong thing that you say could set someone off or set a group off. That happened to me recently, as I think you know. Never thinking in my wildest dreams that I would say something that would upset someone or upset you. Yeah, so you just don't know, and you have to almost forget your own culture, your own history, and just realize that you're entering a new terrain. Right. The other is that, yes, you are now, or will become the ambassador for this industry. Mm-hmm. You will be the lead ambassador. There are many ambassadors, but you are the lead ambassador. And I remember our old colleague, Michel LeBlanc, our chairman from FCI from Canada, many years ago, sat down and said something to me that stuck with me till today, and that is that, and you said this the other day, in fact, the chair that you sit in is bigger than yourself. And the chair has to be utmost respected, and you always never forget that you're just a temporary, seat warmer. So I would absolutely say that. I like to use the word community because everything we do is about community, building community in FCI, and it's not just, of course, the members, but it's all these stakeholders, and we're kind of like the Pied Piper for the factoring industry, bringing people together. So you play that role. You will play that role of instigating and bringing all different walks of life together. You will have the chance to hire people down the road. These people are, also, I view them the same way. The seats that they're going to be sitting in are bigger than themselves. Yeah. And ensure that they know that, and ensure that they respect that, and also that you will rely on them completely and utterly. And so you have to hire the best people for those roles. And when you go out and you're meeting different, individuals from different countries, the best advice I can give you is don't ever underestimate the capability of a people, of a country, of a culture. Don't ever underestimate them because they'll surprise you. Yeah. And that's the exciting part of this job. Right. Yeah. So that's all.
That's good. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Neal.
It was our pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.